Hi, I'm Femi OK.
I'm Malika Bilal, and these are our guests on the stream.
So what do you see? I see an array of different shades of black beauty. On today's show, why people with dark skin are facing discrimination from within and outside their own communities. This is colorism. Where does it begin and what impact does it have?
And one of those guests you just saw was fashion model Nyakem Garwich. She uses her large Instagram platform and following of more than 250,000 people to break traditional Western standards of beauty. But before she found pride in her skin color, she was chided for it, insulted, and even told to bleach it. Take a look.
And her color, so stunning. And even though she was attacked with the invalidating opinion of others, she never let it break her self-confidence. She knew she was an abundance of radiant sunshine, inspiring many. So stop, look, but please don't touch, and please don't stare. You are witnessing the purest form of melanin, skin so flawless, beauty so beyond. And though she was asked to bleach, she kindly declined, embracing her skin and embracing what she believed to be the truest beauty of all. Black skin, melanin, melanin, black beauty.
Wow, that's melanin sounding super hot. Now, before we get started, let's explain colorism. It's defined as prejudice or discrimination against individuals with a dark skin tone, often from people of the same ethnic or racial group. Light-skinned people are deemed more attractive, more successful, and smarter than dark-skinned people.
The term was mostly popularized by American author Alice Walker in a 1982 essay, In Search of Our Mother's Gardens. She wrote, "Colorism, in my definition, prejudicial or preferential treatment of same-race people based solely on their color."
Joining us on our set to have this conversation, we have Nyakem Garwich. In London, Laurie Tharps is Associate Professor of Journalism at Temple University.
Emma Dabiri is a social historian and broadcaster in the UK, and LaRon Barton is a writer and author in San Francisco, California.
So, guess I'm really curious as to how you describe your own skin tone. Nyakem?
How do I describe my own skin tone?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's dark, you know? It's what I am. It's who I am.
So you say you're dark?
I'm dark.
All right. Laurie, how do you describe your own skin tone when you're made to?
I describe my skin tone as chocolate, medium, somewhere, basically chocolate.
All right, medium chocolate. Emma?
Mm-hmm. I'm so jealous. Pasty, perennially in need of a tan. Yellow, about as light as you can be and still be black. Yeah, I don't know.
And LaRon?
I would describe my skin tone as being dark, like dark chocolate. I was called Snickers in high school.
Ooh.
So I'm just black. I'm blackety black. So you know, that's what I am.
Such a fascinating range, and you already have that. You have that vocabulary already there, right there. Nyakem, why do you think people differentiate, even when they're brown or different shades of black, between each other? If you could explain what it was that was happening, how would you explain it?
That's a really tricky question because it's like when I grew up in Ethiopia where I was around so many different shades of black, from light to as dark as me. And I was never been put aside or been looked at differently because I'm darker than all the people that I'm around. So when I came to the US and attended middle school and seeing like little kid, that African American kid that are darker than me and making fun of me that I'm too dark or we can't see you, open smile so we can see you, all these comments toward me. I never truly understand why they think they're better than me just because they 2 shades lighter than me or a shade lighter than me, or why they think that it's okay to make fun of me just because I'm 3 or 4 shades darker than them, you know? So I never truly understand why the same people, we both black. If somebody asks you, what color is you? You're black. If you ask me what color am I, I'm black. There's not different. I can't say I'm dark. That's, I just say I'm black. So I never truly understand what they mean, why they would make fun of me, or why they would, you know, be feeling that type of way.
Laron?
I've experienced a lot of discrimination within my own community, especially coming up. Kids would tease me. They would say things like, "Boy, you so black. I bet that if I turn on the lights, I can't see you. The only way that we can see you is by your teeth." I was called dark black stain. I was looked at as being ugly when I was a child because I wasn't as light as some of the quote unquote pretty kids. I mean, just growing up, a lot of the insults that kids would throw at each other when we were younger was always attacking the color of your skin. It would always be like, "Damn boy, your mama, she's so black, huh?" And like, it, for some reason, like that form of just anti-blackness was always around us. So I mean, it took a while to really embrace who I am and to realize that my skin is beautiful.
And clearly now there is more of a realization of that, even amongst us here on this set and on the show, because we started the show, there's laughter there, but underneath it there is pain, as we're hearing, which is what this tweet here from Robert West says. There's coping utilized in public and in private. Private battles in where one realizes such a construct wreaks havoc on us all. And so what that might look like is a tweet from Robert D. Jordan, who says, there are cliques that can be created in school settings just by shades of skin color. And then the girls get it based on their looks. So Emma, do you want to weigh in here? Did you experience this in school, cliques based on what you look like?
So I have a very different perspective because I grew up in Ireland, which is, especially when I was growing up, there was no black population. So there was no such thing as being light-skinned. I was just black. And it was also like a very racist environment. And that racism wasn't kind of mitigated by the fact that I had a white parent and that I was light-skinned. It was almost as though people actually, like white Irish people, couldn't distinguish in that way. And they would see my mum. People would meet my mum and they'd be like, "Oh, your mom's white. You're adopted. Oh, you're adopted. That's so sad." And I'd be like, "No, can't you see?" But like people just kind of couldn't do that. And it was only when I have a lot of family in Atlanta, in the States, and it was when I started going to spend the summers with them when I was 16 that I, for the first time in my life, encountered the kind of hierarchy that existed in terms of shade and how I was kind of positioned very high within that. But that was very difficult for me to get my head around.
Let's break this down, because I used to live in Atlanta, so I understand what you mean about the hierarchy of shade. Break it down for us a little bit for people who are not aware of how you can be not just black, but different grades of black, different levels of black beauty.
Yeah, so this was new to me, but when I went there, I was kind of catapulted into the realm. In Ireland, it was like the equivalent of having like blonde hair and blue eyes, which was like the beauty standard there. Like having skin my color was seen as making me kind of very attractive just by virtue of that itself.
So I've got a little quote here from Olu, and he says, "I am proud to be a dark-skinned African all the way. I live and roll in Lagos, Nigeria, West Africa." Laurie, but this origin of this hierarchy of blackness, if you could put your finger on where does it come from, what would you say?
Very easily comes from white supremacy. I mean, it really comes from a systemic belief that there is a superiority in white skin, in the white race. Not just pale skin, but a European race. And, this adoption of a belief system that the lighter your skin is, the better you are, is a direct result of both colonization and slavery in the United States, where there was an actual intentional kind of brainwashing, if you will, of all things that were African, dark, our features were demonized. All of those things that made us uniquely African, we were taught to believe that those were the things that made us inferior. And so if you had lighter skin, you had looser hair, you had a straighter nose. In other words, the closer you approximated the master, the one in power, the one with privilege, then I guess that meant you were that much closer to kind of the promised one or the better one. And unfortunately, because colonialization, let's say the white man spread his seed all over the world, this is a belief system that has spread throughout all of the people of color throughout the world. And it's tragic that there are more people of color in the world who clearly have their own culture, their own customs, and yet they still look at lightness as some sort of outward signal of superiority.
So Lori, you are on the same wavelength as our guests who are also nodding their heads, but here this tweet from Jacqueline, she says, I've always wondered if it's to justify colonization, slavery, inequality through avoiding seeing the obvious humanity of darker victims. But I want to add in another tweet here because, we've been talking about women. It's not just women. You get this from I Am Colorful Quell, who says, this is what I deal with frequently. And it's not just dark-skinned women getting belittled for their complexion. He sent us a video comment on what he's had to deal with. Have a listen to what he told the stream.
People's attitudes towards skin color and beauty have affected me in ways that have made me feel inferior and less attractive than those who have lighter skin than I have. I've been told from a very young age that my dark skin is just me being dirty and I need to bleach my skin, and I actually attempted to do so, which left me with darker discoloration in parts of my skin, and that will be with me forever. But I am now in a place where having dark skin does not make me feel bad. I actually feel beautiful.
I don't know, thank him for sharing that with us. But Laron, do you think that other Black men know that they are part of this system and part of the problem as well? Or do you think that they think this isn't an issue?
Well, I think that we're actually gaining consciousness and realizing that not only do Black men perpetuate this, I call it a fraud and I call it very offensive, but also Black women. I remember growing up and that the lighter that you were considered to be pretty, and it goes back to what the sister said earlier about the closer proximity you are to whiteness, the better looking you will be. So in high school, the most prized guy would be the very lighter complected guy with the quote unquote curly hair, or what they would call quote unquote good hair, or it would be the biracial man. And it's interesting because not only does colorism affect the way that the way that we think about ourselves from the inside, but this can also cause us to do things such as bleaching our skin, such as perming our hair. And I'm not trying to slam anybody that does that, but again, going back to what the young lady said earlier, all these things we are doing is trying to get us as close to whiteness as possible, because the white European beauty standard, I mean, like that's the standard of beauty. Blonde hair, blue eyes. So if you can take a person and if they get blue contact lenses, if they can dye their hair blonde, they can be as dark as me, but that's subconsciously what they are trying to assimilate to.
Right.
And it's a really sad thing.
Yeah, go ahead, Emma.
What's so tragic is the level to which Black people have internalized and reproduced white supremacy,
Absolutely.
and how white people are to many extent, to an extent, often they express shock when, like, some kind of white friends I know are initially often surprised when they see the level to which we as Black people discuss people's shade, people's hair texture, people's features. They are often very surprised, and as I said, it's frustrating that a system that is so beneficial to them, they can kind of remain ignorant of, and we're tearing ourselves apart.
Literally.
over it. And I want to add, it's not just, it's very, I think colorism sometimes is a slightly misleading word, because it's also, because that just focuses very much on the actual skin shade. It's very much to do with hair texture and to do with facial features as well. People, another thing I learned in Atlanta was that, people were
The
very
entire look.
entire look.
Nyakim, what do you say?
I just feel like it is about entire look, you know, coming from hair to your shade of skin. For me, like in my community, the South Sudanese community that I have been around, is like the bleaching your skin is a big deal in my community. And I never understand why, you know, until I came here and I was bullied for being too dark, and I realized that this is why they do bleach. They want to, you know, feel like they are important, or they blend in.
And some of your friends are even planning their children to be.
I have.
Tell us about the plan. Because this is the whole thought process.
It's the whole thought process. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and you know, at the time she was dating a Caucasian man, you know, and then I've never been in a relationship. I was not dating Caucasian, so I was like, you know, how does it feel like being in a racial relationship? I was just asking a normal question, and she's like, I just want my kids to be lighter and have long, and I don't want my kids to feel like to go through what I went through. I just want my kids to have curly hair, soft hair, and I don't want my kids to get made fun of just like I went through. And I was like, and I felt so sad, and I felt really bad. And I'm like, so you marrying this man, or you want to have kids with this man because you want your kid to have light skin? Like,
I would love to talk to your friend, because I actually wrote a book called Same Family, Different Colors. Because, you know, kind of inspired by my own situation. My husband is Spanish. He's very pale. And my children came out 3 different colors. And DNA is very funny. So just marrying a person of a different race doesn't mean your children are going to come out with that quote unquote good hair, or that lighter skin. You never know exactly what you're going to get. I got 3 totally different looking children in terms of skin color and hair texture. But it is actually, I know many women in the research I've done. I wrote a book about black hair, and I wrote a book about colorism, and the length that people will go to, women will start trying to straighten their children's hair from birth, including, like you're just saying,
perming their kids' hair as well.
Marrying someone or just getting impregnated by somebody strictly to increase the chance that their offspring will have looser hair or lighter skin. And sadly, we've been doing that since we've been enslaved in the United States. We have records of enslaved women trying to bleach their children's skin with arsenic and wrapping their hair at birth to try to straighten those kinks out. So at that point, it was more about survival. It was hoping maybe your baby would get taken to the big house and freed, or given food, or, you know, given the opportunity to learn to read. Today we're doing it, you know, that's what Ruth was saying about the idea of it being in.
Yeah, go on, Emma, tell us about your taxi story.
I was in a taxi recently, and the taxi driver was Somali. He was a dark-skinned Somali guy, and he told me, he started asking me like where I was from, and was I mixed? And I always hate that question, because I often feel that there's like a level of kind of like anti-blackness inherent in it, and a fetishization of being mixed and stuff. But obviously I am mixed, so I told him, and then he was like, you know what, I just have to marry an English woman. I can't marry an African woman, because I need my kids to come out your color. And I was just like, I am really not the one.
How could you even resist that, Emma? When can we meet your fiance?
I was too dark for him. He needs a white woman, so his children look like me.
Oh my goodness.
To me. But he'd be disappointed, because I've got Nigerian hair. I did not get good hair. So.
Lauren, I know you're trying to get in here, so I'm going to direct this to you, because these are 2 sides of an argument. So Mike here says, living 4 years in rural Africa with less pressure on appearance, I found that people were more comfortable in their own skin. They were able to process sensitive issues away from in-your-face images, constant see and compare consumerism. So he says this could be a problem. Essentially, he's saying this could be a problem of being in the West and being bombarded with consumerism. On the other hand, though, Robert West sent us a video comment, and he says this is a global issue. Have a look.
I always think it's best to address colorism as the global plague that it is. It's not a construct indicative of one group of people or a few groups of people, but truly a horror that is spread across the world. I say this as it relates to any attempts to deal with it in the most macro and micro of ways.
So, Laron, and I'll just let you know, Nyakim, I saw you nodding when I was reading
Yes,
those tweets
yes.
about this not being a problem if you're in
Your own
parts of Africa.
Yes.
But, Laron, I'm wondering what your take on that is.
Okay, first off, I totally agree with the brother that was in New York. We have to understand that racism and white supremacy is a global system. We can't just say, oh, well, you know, it's really bad in the South, or it's really bad in parts of London. There's no part of the world that racism and white supremacy has not touched. And coming with that, also with the standards of beauty. Think about it this way, right? So Brazil has the largest population of Black people outside of Africa, right? Why is it that the most beautiful people that you see coming from Brazil are looking like Caucasians? I mean, I believe the model's name is Giselle. She's from Brazil, right. But yet there's tons of people that don't look like Giselle. The most beautiful, I guess what the media deems as the most beautiful Black women in America usually are Halle Berry, Beyonce, and other light-skinned women. But the majority of Black people don't look like those women. So, you know, even though we can be around a bunch of Black people all of our lives, colorism will still come up because that's a part of racism, white supremacy.
Right.
And that is internalized with us.
And Nyakim, if people are seeing the wide shot, they're seeing that you're on Instagram right now.
Right.
Let me show your Instagram account here as well.
Right.
And you can see these stunning pictures. People are following you because of your skin tone.
Because of my skin tone.
And I know there's a little story about a little girl who contacted you.
Yes.
Tell us that story.
There was a little girl sent me a message telling me that how she always feel like she's the ugliest girl in the room because of her skin color, and she always feel like kids make fun of her, just like what I went through when I was at her age. Like she's in 7th grade at the moment. So she's telling me how much I inspire her and how she's starting to love herself as a person, how she see beauty in me and she see herself as beautiful as well. So I just feel like you just gotta learn to love yourself, you know? I feel like I learned to love myself, you know? When I came to this country, I didn't have a problem with my skin color. I didn't have a problem with how I look until I started being told at the grocery store, at the mall, at the park, that you're too Black, or kids staring at me, people laughing at me, you know, getting comment from Uber driver. I don't know if you read that story about between me and the Uber driver that suggested that if I was given 10K, would I bleach my skin for that amount? It's like after that, it just felt like I would, and then that's when I feel like I would go home and cry to sleep and tell my mom, why do I look like this, Mom? You know, you never told me that my skin was ugly when we was back home. Why is it considered ugly in this country now, you know? So it's an ongoing issue. And then if you love yourself and you accepted yourself, like those comments, like I feel like they don't mean, they wouldn't affect you as much.
And it's why we got a tweet like this from Eugene, who says, you are definitely breaking the barriers of the conventional concepts of beauty and modernizing what it means to be a 21st century model. But I heard you trying to jump in there, Lori. What were you trying to add?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that Nyakim it's so wonderful to hear everything you're saying, because the only way that we're going to get past this is if we really talk about it. I mean, this show is wonderful. What you're doing on social media is wonderful. Because right now, even the word colorism isn't even officially a word. If you write it on your, in Microsoft Word, it autocorrects. It doesn't even exist. So we're still struggling with even finding the right language to, end these conversations. It's still this idea that this is our dirty laundry within the Black community is really hampering us from moving forward.
Okay, so yes, I'm going to pause our conversation there. There's so much more to talk about. Thank you for shining a light, no pun intended, on colorism. Laron and Emma and Lori and Nyakim. I want to share something that Mike actually tweeted to us at the stream when he heard we were doing this show. He says, this is the quote, "Your beautiful skin is so black, you must bathe in milk." 19th century Swazi praise poem. Thanks for sharing that, Mike. Thanks for watching the stream. See you online. Hello again. We're talking about colorism. We're going to get right back to that conversation. At the end, there was Laurie and Emma, Laurent, Yakim, all wanting to talk. Okay. What did we miss? Relationships?
I would like
family.
I think we missed family, so I'm going to jump in here with that. So we actually got a tweet. I'm just going to jump in here just a little bit because I want to make sure our community gets in. We got a tweet from, I don't know if she counts as a member of our community. She's actually a colleague of ours at Al Jazeera, and she writes in, Roz Jordan. She's a correspondent. She says, I wish I could be on the show today. So many stories on what I've seen in my own family. So that's why I want to talk about families.
Yes.
She goes on to say, my mom had gorgeous medium brown skin. Her parents and siblings were all much lighter, and she told us kids that her sister said she was adopted. Now that chain goes on, but that's just one of that's just one tiny story. This is another one we got from someone. This is Alexander, who says parents need to make sure they instill self-confidence in their kids at a young age so they don't fall victim to this. And what that might look like, Funmi says, my dad used to say, "You're too black" to me, and I would wonder, too black for who? And that's coming from within the own family, their own family units. Laurie?
This is why I wrote my book, Same Family, Different Colors, because really these conversations begin in the home, and the conversations can be the thing that saves a child from the kind of outside world's negative attitudes towards their skin color. But it can also be this balm that saves you, or it can be the start of your feelings of inferiority. A lot of research shows that a lot of times it's the mother that instills in their child that there's something wrong with the way they look. They're too dark. So mom says, don't wear that lipstick, don't wear that color, don't sit in the sun, don't play in the sun. Or dads say, you're too dark, you're not going to be pretty enough,
Lori,
things like that. Yes.
I have a question for you. So,
Yes.
so being a mother, being an educator, knowing that, in the media, we're just bombarded with so many images of fair-skinned women, slim women, European women, and we don't see women and men that look like us within the media. How do we raise our kids to make them feel as if they are as beautiful and as wonderful as the images that we see on billboards, magazines, TVs, movies, et cetera, et cetera?
I'm so glad you asked me that question because I have an answer. First thing we have to do, because with the comment from the member of the community who said that even within her own family there were different shades, and that caused conflict. First thing, in families we need to normalize difference. We need to explain that just like there are flowers, flowers come in all different colors. There are 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different color of roses, but they're all beautiful roses. We don't say that the yellow rose is prettier than the pink rose. They're all beautiful, and that's why we actually like them to be in different colors. But also, something that we have the power to do is we have the power to bring in other sources of media. We can be selective. We can shut down a lot of the, don't get cable. Don't let your children watch.
Let's put this to the test then.
I don't know about that though.
I don't want to interrupt the workshop here, Laurent. So if you got more questions for us, Laurie?
Yeah. I just want to point out.
Go on.
I'm just going to say really quickly.
Sorry. What?
Let Laurent ask you, because you've got the answers. Go on, Laurent. Ask again. Laurent, go ahead.
I guess what I'm saying is like with the proliferation of social media and the fact that let's just be honest here. A parent's influence wanes as a child gets older, and the fact that you can tell the kid he or she's beautiful, but I mean, I guess my question to you is, ma'am, is like, how do you armor the child to withstand not only the aggressive insults, but just also not seeing the standard of beauty that person is. So that's what I want to know, because sure.
Yes. So the answer again, it's literally curating your child's media content. The beauty of the internet now is that you can show them, you can show them the Instagram that
and also I think
there's
I think
a
there's
lot
a
more
problem with
content.
betting.
Go on, Emma.
Oh,
I was
sorry,
gonna say
sorry.
there's a lot
I think
more
there's I think
content.
there's also we also need to be wary and to be vigilant against the amount of importance that we place on the visual, because even if we have a dark-skinned person, it happens very rarely, but if you do have a dark-skinned person that's held up as a beautiful person, much like the light-skinned person, much like the white person, they will still be a conventionally good-looking person that most ordinary people are not going to look like. So even if you see somebody that's the same color as you, there's still probably a beauty standard that you can never really
All right, so
aspire to.
let's
So I
try
really
this
think-
out, Emma. Let's try this out. I've got Lupita Nyong'o on my laptop. She posts this Instagram.
Oh my laptop.
She's gorgeous.
Amazing, my African queen. Don't ever listen to insecure haters or peasants. Oh, I like that word, peasant. I haven't used that for a long time. Gorgeous. She is so pretty. But there are also lots of haters on here as well. I'm not going to read those out. But is this a standard of beauty that we can all get to, Emma? Or are you saying, no, it's not possible?
Absolutely.
We can't all look like Lupita. She's one of the most beautiful women in the world. Like, I absolutely
Other
think
than
we
that.
should have diverse. No, we should have diverse representations of beauty, like across skin shades.
Yes.
But I think you also have to remember that the people who are up there, that you're never really going to look like them. So there's even a pressure when somebody is the same color as you, that they're going to be what is considered like a kind of a perfect specimen of humanity. So
But
there's still probably going to be a disconnect between the ordinary person and that person.
Yakim, you're a model. You're responsible for this. It's your
But I
fault.
also, I feel like, well, from my personal experience, I would have started modeling at a very young age, because when I was 14, 15, I was being told, you should be a model. You look like a model. You're tall. You're beautiful. But the fact that I didn't see myself, when I look in the TV, I didn't see somebody that looked like me. When I look in magazine, I didn't see me. I was like, I don't think people as dark as me are meant to be models, I don't think I'm pretty enough to be a model. How are you going to tell me to be a model when I don't see myself out there, So it was like, and then I get made fun of too at school. So it's like, I'm not beautiful to be a model until I start to learn to love myself. And that's when I was like, you know what? I'm going to go make that change,
Yeah.
And it's just like, if I was, yeah.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Is it
I'm sorry, but
changing?
look,
Just guess.
I-
I'm just
It's
going to
changing.
do a round robin. Is
changing.
this changing?
It's changing.
Because we're going to wrap now.
I believe
Yes.
it's changing.
Yes, it is.
I believe it's changing. I see it, I see people trying to reach out now, I see people giving their hand, like, Nyakim, I do want to shoot with you. And some people is like, I don't know if I'm going to know how to edit your skin tone if I do that photo shoot with you, So it was like, and then even when I do photo shoot with photographers, the picture will come out and I look
Right.
so much lighter. Like, that's not my skin tone. Why are you making me look way lighter
All
than
right,
what
so
I am?
Nyakim, it's changing. Laurent, is it changing?
Yes, it is. I think that there are more attractive, dark-complected people that are being put out to the mainstream, and I think that this generation of parents and friends, we're starting to sort of shed the colorism skin. I mean, one of the more powerful people in my life was my mother, and at one point in my life, I wanted to be lighter. And so she told me one day, she said, "Laurent, you are beautiful. Your skin is beautiful." And that really changed the way that I looked at myself. So now I know that as a dark complected man, I'm beautiful.
Sure.
And I like to hold up dark complected people.
So Laurent, I
Because,
mean, it's totally inappropriate for me to say this, but I'm just going to say it so that I can move on to Emma. Your mum was right.
It's not inappropriate.
Inappropriate. Moving along. Emma, is colorism changing? Just briefly. I'm going to wrap very soon.
Okay, I think on one level we are seeing we're starting to see darker skinned people kind of presented as beautiful, but I do also think in conversations.
But it works the other way too, doesn't it? Because colorism just isn't about dark people being I suppose at the bottom of the beauty totem pole. It also means that if you're fair, that people will have expectations or gravitate towards you or fetishize you.
Thank you.
So is colorism changing?
Yeah, no, so that's actually, that's something that I wanted to bring up, the kind of assumptions and expectations that people have if you're fair-skinned. I think like a lot of that I don't see it shifting to a great deal. I mean, these conversations are being had, but in terms of that, those kind of deeply entrenched beliefs that people have, there's a lot of work to do.
A lot of work to do. Laurie. Where are we?
I think that exactly that there's still a lot of work to do, but the work begins with the conversations. And I just want to hold up the natural hair movement in the Black community. That 20 years ago, if you said Black women are going to start wearing their hair in natural styles like wholesale, and that little Black girls are going to want to wear Afro puffs, and Black women are going to start straightening their hair, you would have said never. It's not going to happen because it's so entrenched that our natural hair is ugly.
Sure.
People would have laughed at you. But what happened? Exactly what's happening now. Conversations, changes. And so it's a process, but it's a process I've witnessed in my lifetime. And I think the same thing can happen because the conversations are happening. We have the internet to allow a global conversation
the natural
to
hair
happen.
just before we, in terms of the natural hair, the wonderful kind of advances and changes happening. But at the same time, what we're seeing emerging again is the kind of privileging of looser, kind of like mixed race curls.
Emma, Lauren, yakking. We're about to fall off the internet and it's all of your thoughts. Beautiful Black people, different shades. Thank you and good night. Malika Bilal.
Well, I will give the last word to community, but before I do, I will say we did a show on hair, good hair, quote unquote, and the perception of it, and we'll tweet that out for people to let us know their thoughts on that issue. But I'll give the last word to Hen Meki, a former stream guest and super streamer. She says, I love the conversation on colorism. All your guests sound exactly like my friends and me on this issue, but I especially appreciate the voices of a dark-skinned brother and a light-skinned biracial sister. But Nyakem Gatwich spoke to my soul. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you
enough
so
of the
much.
love fest. Black girl, black boy magic, out. See you online, everybody.
Bye.